Welcome to another episode of The Local Dive. This is Alex Scott, joined by Dean, Pop Your Top, and Sarah, and Ashlyn Portero. How's everybody doing?
Someone was struggling a little bit today.
It was a little difficult.
Hey,
Can't be 100%.
Yeah,
you know?
usually,
No.
yeah. I need a little more practice. I only drink about one of these a week, so I need to practice.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Producer Jacob's here.
Yep,
In the
producer
house.
Jacob in the house with
What's
a microphone. Anyways, so this episode drops on Thanksgiving Day. We are excited and thankful and all of those things. And before we get into the deep dive on thankfulness and gratitude and things we're thankful for, we're going to spend some time in the shallow end talking about maybe the most talked about topic on the local dive, and that is food.
Woo!
And specifically,
It's not a maybe. That is a certainty.
Go food.
well, I mean, we talk about Jesus too. It's
Go
like
food.
Give us to stay our daily bread.
it's food and Jesus.
Spiritual.
Oh my gosh.
So, Thanksgiving foods. Let's go with what is the Thanksgiving food that you will eat the most of on Thanksgiving Day?
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
It's a toss up for me, but it's definitely a casserole. It just depends on which
Jell-O?
one.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
even
Oh, that's
get
your
me
scene.
started.
I forgot about that.
We're gonna get
That is
to
the most
some of that.
trashy food.
We're gonna get to
Tennessee.
some of that in a minute. But probably I do like dressing. Dressing, not stuffing. I'm particular about that. But it'll probably be dressing or sweet potato casserole.
Jello casserole, whatever it's called, like Jello salad. That's your thing,
Jell-O
right?
salad.
Jell-O salad.
Yes.
That makes your Friday Diet Coke at McDonald's look like fine wine.
It is a staple of Southern Thanksgiving meals, and I will fight somebody on this. Technically, it is a congealed salad, so I want
Even better.
I want to be clear about that. But if you choose to use Jell-O, then that is your
I
prerogative.
totally forgot that was your thing.
If
until
if
just
Jell-O
now.
is your preferred congealer of choice,
Exactly.
So mashed potatoes is probably the answer, but a close second would be corn casserole, specifically Paula Deen's recipe.
Oh.
It's
What do you Michigan people know about that?
hey, I've become a Southerner. Okay.
Well, we're going to Unsickers, our friends in North Carolina again with some of our just kind of SBC friends. We'll all be together up there, and Todd Unsicker makes ribeyes on Thanksgiving.
That's
Like they have turkey
Nice.
too, but the ribeyes, it's like whoa. He's like, I got some ribeyes on the grill. I'm like, all right, that's different. I'm used to like just kind of classic traditional Thanksgiving meal,
Yeah.
yeah.
but I'm definitely be engaging there.
That was going to be a question I was going to ask. Like, there are many people who do non-traditional foods, aka not turkey, on Thanksgiving. How do we feel about that? Are we pro, against?
I mean,
Neutral?
I'm kind of like live your truth in that sense.
Oh my gosh.
I am. But your Thanksgiving dinner is your prerogative, but I firmly hold to a traditional Thanksgiving meal. I mean, I don't even know, like it's all like cultural. Like we've all made it what we want it to be, right? But what you would consider as like in a I don't know, a magazine or somebody was like, write down the foods of the traditional Thanksgiving meal. I'm hardcore about that. So I personally would not be partaking in like
Ashlyn's not
a
serving
ribeye or like a Mexican food or like I said last week, if I had to eat out somewhere in Tallahassee, I would probably go to Masa and just do it totally different. But if I'm like eating in my home or like cooking, Thanksgiving all the way. I just like love that meal.
Did you? I guess this is being heard on Thanksgiving Day, right?
Yes.
Did you cook today? I know it's kind of a tradition in your family is you host and you cook. Did you cook?
I don't know yet as we're recording. So somebody can tweet at me on Thanksgiving and I'll let you know.
So here's where I am on this. So I think that if you do like a ribeye or ham, I like ham a lot too. All that's great, but the science says you have to at least have turkey available.
The science.
The science.
The science.
So yeah, so at least available. So bring on all the other random things, but like at least have turkey as an option on the spread.
Also,
I think that's
Is that fair?
I think
Okay.
that's fair.
for the people who are like anti, like turkey's bad, like that's like a thing. I also just want to give you some hope that turkey can be good. Like, to me,
Absolutely.
that depends on how you cook the turkey. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it can be dry. Who among us has not like had dry turkey that you have to like chew 17 times before you can actually swallow it?
You've basically got to like soak it in gravy for
Right.
20 minutes on your plate
And-
so it's tolerable.
And you can do other things anytime. Like Thanksgiving is it's a meal for crying out loud, and it's once a year. Have turkey available.
Yeah.
Like, you know
I
what
mean,
Yeah,
I'm with
like,
you.
yeah,
I'm ready to
you
plant
can-
my flag there.
Yeah.
I'm pro turkey. I would much prefer it to be fried over roasted.
That's great. As long as it's turkey.
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely turkey.
Producer Jacob's a vegetarian, so what do you guys do for Thanksgiving to accommodate your needs?
Poor Jacob.
I am 100% not a vegetarian.
He's a nutcracker loving vegetarian.
I'm gonna put
According
that in my
to Dean.
Twitter bio right there. My family is actually not. We do not enjoy turkey, so we always
Okay.
go for ham.
That's
Sorry
a
about that.
solid. No, that's
Yeah.
a solid
Yeah.
alternative.
So we do ham on Thanksgiving Day, and then with another side of our family on Saturdays, we do a Mexican Thanksgiving because by then we're all tired of the food.
Interesting.
So we try to mix it up a little bit. So traditionally 2 Thanksgivings for the Baldrys.
Interesting.
Taco Thanksgiving and non-turkey Thanksgiving.
Correct.
All right, shout out to the
Correct.
Mexicans.
I will say that, like, I am not so hardcore that like throughout the rest, like the week following Thanksgiving, like, you know, people like you take the turkey and you're gonna like use every last ounce of it until you get down to like turkey soup that like a bone is in to like make the broth or something. I'm not that hardcore. Like when my plate of leftovers runs out, I'm done. But I am like, I mean, that's the great part of Thanksgiving is like you make all this comfort food and it's just fun. And
Okay, you know, everybody says Thanksgiving dinner, but people eat at like various times. Are you like actually eating at dinner, or is this like a 1 p.m. dinner?
Probably like, I don't know what Todd's going to do this year, but probably like my parents are like 4
Yeah,
over at my parents' house.
like an early dinner.
Yeah, but I think Unsickers are around there. Yeah.
yeah, it changes every year for me. It just depends on my family is like our Thanksgiving plans are typically confirmed like the week of. So I never totally know, but it's usually a late lunch or like a mid-afternoon, like early dinner situation.
Yeah, I think like a late lunch, maybe like 2 is the ideal time because then you're ready for leftovers at like 7
That's smart.
or 8, and then
You could potentially do 2 rounds of dessert.
no potentially definitely do 2 rounds of dessert.
We'll start our day by going to the Waffle House in Wake Forest, North Carolina, hometown of producer Jacob, actually.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
There
we'll
you
go there. Last
go.
year we randomly ran into our friends, the Browns, there like so randomly. And so Seth is the editor for the Biblical Recorder Christian newspaper, and so I'm going to text them and see if they want to do it
Nice.
again and see what we can
New
meet.
tradition.
Yeah, but my favorite Thanksgiving tradition is watching the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Thanksgiving night.
Will that be happening this year?
I think, yeah. I
didn't know if COVID changed, though.
and I have memories of watching my dad and my brother. You know, growing up, no matter what their records were, fun rivalry. Would always watch that game every year on Thanksgiving.
I'm offended you didn't say the Lions game, but it's okay.
I do always root for the Lions on Thanksgiving, but that's my dad's thing. It's like you root for the Lions on Thanksgiving, so I always root for them unless they're playing the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, they're terrible, so they need all the help they can get. All right, Ashlyn has, I think, some Would You Rather Thanksgiving edition questions prepared, so I'm going to turn it over.
Okay. So the first one, just to start us off easy, would you rather eat an entire turkey by yourself or eat all of the stuffing by yourself?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the sides, and I was of the stuffing. Oh, turkey all the way.
Oh, interesting. All of the sides. We could like take it one step up. Let's do that. All of the turkey or all of the sides.
I'm going Southern veggie plate, all the sides.
To your first question, definitely the turkey over the stuffing. To the second, to the amendment, sides all the way.
Okay. I think that's where I would be too.
A whole turkey, that's a lot of turkey.
Yeah, it depends on how big of a turkey you're making.
It's still a lot of turkey.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Let's see. Would you rather this is gross. Would you rather always smell like turkey or okay, the question here is would you rather always smell like turkey or always smell like gravy? I'm going to change that and say would you rather always smell like turkey or would you rather always have a turkey taste in your mouth?
Ooh.
Oh.
Taste in my mouth so it only affects me and not the masses, I think.
It's a tough one.
Is there gravy on the turkey in my mouth?
I hadn't thought that far into it.
I feel like we could mask the turkey smell maybe. So I think I'm gonna go turkey smell. I just don't want to taste turkey all the time because it's gonna then like flavor everything else. So you're gonna be eating chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream, and there's gonna be like a hint of turkey in
If
it.
it's dark meat, I'm all in.
Okay. Would you rather? This is just good in the spirit of the turmoil that we live in today. Would you rather say this actually leads well into our deep dive? Would you rather say 50 things you're thankful for, or listen to someone else say 50 things they're thankful for?
Oh,
I just love how it's like assumed that either one of those is not that fun.
50 is kind of a lot.
Like you're either getting down to like, I'm thankful for like the air I breathe, or you're having to like try to genuinely listen to somebody else describe.
or you've got to listen to like your Uncle Melvin be like, man, I'm thankful gas was $1.82 when I filled my truck up yesterday.
Right.
I would rather. I'd rather just listen to someone else, like just tune it out, than have to come up with my own.
I'm thinking about if it's like you have like the family member who gets like passive aggressive in their thankfulness. Like, I'm thankful that we can all be together, even though we don't talk but once a year and nobody calls me on my birthday. Like, it's like you start to work in like aggressions and you're like, are we thankful anymore? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, my junior high school, or my history teacher, Mr. Stickle, he made us call him Stickman. That's like what he went by, Stickman. And our final exam was we just had to write down 100 things we learned this year. So
Wow.
So, but which made me think of that when you said the 50 things. Because by the time we got to like 60, you were just like making stuff up. I mean, you just can't remember. It's like,
see answers 1 through 61 or something is.
Okay, here is one more. Would you rather get $100 for every slice of pie you eat, or $1,000 for eating no Thanksgiving food at all?
oh, $1,000 a piece.
I was gonna say bring
Wow, money
no,
is not
a hu-
everything.
$100 a piece, right?
$100 for every piece of pie,
Okay.
or $1,000 for not eating Thanksgiving food at all.
Oh,
Oh,
I meant
no.
$1,000 piece out.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
PEACE. I'm $1,000 and I'm going through the drive-through.
Dude, no.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
no.
Yeah, no.
First of all, you can eat well more than 10 pieces of pie and get $1,000. So you can get both.
that is ambitious. In
No,
one sitting?
Yes. I mean,
Mercy.
not after dinner, but
If somebody
like
wants to sponsor this endeavor, Alex will eat
Alex
pie for $100.
I'm confident I could eat.
No, okay.
This is I
Okay,
probably shouldn't go on record.
Time out.
Hold on.
Let's go back in history, okay? Do you remember when we ate at Fogo de Chao in Atlanta, and then you got a milkshake at Fuddruckers in Anderson, South Carolina, and walked the halls of the hotel the rest of the night
Okay.
because you were so full?
All right, yeah, let me now, but
Also, I'll see you that, and I'll raise you lobster bisque in Iowa.
okay. Hold on. Okay,
A
just
cup of it, and you were done.
We're just caring
no,
for you, Alex.
it was a bowl, and I shouldn't have gotten lobster in Iowa. Let's just chalk that up to a bad decision.
Yeah, landlocked.
And but if this is at the end of the meal, it would be hard to eat $1,000 worth of pie, depending on the size of the slice. If I have not eaten yet, I think I could maybe put away. I mean, I definitely like a Publix pie. I could definitely put the whole thing away. So we're at $800 easily.
I was going to say, keep in mind, you don't have to get $1,000. Like, I would rather eat Thanksgiving food and get like $300 from 3 slices of pie.
Yeah, but I think I could get more than $1,000. That's my point. Like, I think on an empty-ish stomach, I could eat like an entire Costco pie and be like sitting fat, dumb, and happy, and
Just slice those slices real thin, and
Yeah.
then you got like 15 of them.
I don't know.
Drive-through. I'm good.
It's a lot less
Straight.
painful.
Everyone
It's a
has
lot
a
less
price,
painful.
you know?
Catch on me. and no pain. Minus the Whopper and the fries I'm going to have
Yeah,
instead.
so you think.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So yeah, you're gonna get Burger King. All right, last question, and then we'll transition to the deep dive. What is the one Thanksgiving food you're not touching if it's like in the spread?
Vegetables seem to be a waste of time to me at Thanksgiving.
Green
That's awesome.
green bean casserole is offended.
No, casseroles are different. So like if I like usually there's like a
Like
Brussels
roasted
sprout
asparagus
or
or-
yeah,
yeah.
I'm like just taking up space. Move along.
Okay, I would assume. Okay, I didn't know that casseroles were not considered, like vegetable casseroles were not considered
I
vegetables.
mean, if we want to live our lives that way, I'm good. I'm good with that. But
It'd make my life.
I wasn't counting it like that.
I'd be able to be more honest with my doctor when he asks how many vegetables I get every day. Jellied cranberry, like out of the can, that like. No, I'm for cranberry sauce.
Canberry.
I'm not for canberries. Like if it's jiggling and like you can slice it and no. I mean, but you're congealed salad, so
All the way.
Mine's just real simple. Every year it's the exact same thing. I don't touch the cranberry stuff. Don't touch.
regardless of the preparation, like can or fresh.
it doesn't
or-
matter.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
I hate that stuff. I won't touch it. So I go everything else I'm good on Thanksgiving. All the traditional stuff. Do not touch cranberries. Jacob, what goes best with a tofu turkey? What do you usually pair with that?
I believe they're called tofurkeys.
tofurkeys. What's kind of the go-to side for that?
I wouldn't know.
You put it in your tacos on Taco Monday or whatever it is for Thanksgiving.
Well, that's an option, but I wouldn't know.
All
If
right.
you are someone who enjoys congealed salad or gelatinous sides of any kind, let me know. Please do at me on social media.
my gosh.
Ashlyn Portero.
All three people will reach out to you.
We're a small but strong
Among the
contingent.
few, yes.
All right. As we transition into the deep dive, one of the things that we wanted to think about and talk about in the context of Thanksgiving is thankfulness. And 2020 has been a year that sometimes you have to look hard and kind of dig deep to really think about what you are thankful for. So we'll start with that. What in 2020 are you thankful for? Don't all go at once.
It's like worst year ever.
that 2021's almost here.
Yeah. I'll say, okay, so a Bible verse I have to constantly remind myself of, just life in general before 2020. Paul asked the question in the Corinthian church, what do you have that you didn't receive? Right? So we have to really believe that all things are grace. That we really, I'm like coming out sledgehammer here, opener, I know, but
Yeah.
like,
No, it's good.
but really, like, and to really believe that what do we deserve? I mean, we're sinners before our Creator. Like, we deserve nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what makes God's love so incredible, God's grace so real. So I think I know it sounds so like super spiritual pastor answer, but oftentimes that's actually the real answer. It's like I think we have to first start with being grateful for the grace of God, right, in the gospel.
Yeah.
So because that would be, we think about our brothers and sisters in like some third world countries, or maybe they're under persecution, or or in maybe militant Islamic controlled countries, or we have brothers and sisters in North Korea, we have them in China. Like they're like not phased by 2020.
Right.
Being a thing. We are, and that's our real experience, but like our friends in Europe are, and Christians, but and not that Corona isn't real there, not that they don't have their own issues, but like they've never really had a point that wasn't experiencing some sort of suffering. And as believers, I think we have to be able to give similar answers to our brothers and sisters around the world if we're ever going to actually really have joy and really be grateful people, because then the circumstances don't change that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think that's dead
That was
on
like
it.
the big picture. And then there's all these little things we should be grateful for, is trying to be grateful people, but I think
Yeah.
it starts there.
Well, and I was going to say, I think like without that in view, you lose sight of why anything else really matters. I mean, in the kind of grand scheme of life. But yeah, in North Korea, I mean, there's the little memes with like the guy who's sitting in a restaurant, and it's like how, it's like everybody in America, it's like how 2020 started, and it's like the guy's eating a meal, and then it's like 2020 now, and it's like on fire or whatever, and he's still sitting there just like whatever. That's probably not the case. I mean, North Korea or North Korean Christians are probably not thinking the same thing. So I think, no, Dean, I think you're dead on, and that's the place that gratitude for everything else should spring from.
Yeah, and that's not to say that people shouldn't be affected and have feelings about the things we've experienced in our country in
Right.
2020. But if we're really going to start the place, we're not going to be thankful for the little things or even the medium things if we're first not mindful of the grace of God and be thankful for that first. I think everything flows from that.
Yeah, that's good.
I am thankful, like on a serious note, and we can get to some of the other little things too. I mean, even continuing on from Dean sort of setting the stage there, I am thankful genuinely that this has been a year that I think has allowed a lot of us to look around and say, like, what holds up in my life in terms of what is going to sustain me, what is going to give me ultimate satisfaction, what is going to last, what is real and genuine. Like, I think this has been a trying year for a lot of people. And I think the opportunity to, as a Christian, look around and say, yeah, the world is, I mean, we knew the world was a broken place. Now we know it, I think, in an even deeper way for a lot of reasons. But to see that, Christ holds, like the truth of God is everlasting and the kingdom is growing. And so I think to be able to, I mean, really, I'm not trying to over spiritualize it, but to share in the sufferings of Christ, to be able to, and to be sustained by the Spirit in such a way that we can be grateful for that, and that we can put it in perspective and say, I've looked around and seen like a dumpster fire of a year, all the way from the little stuff, like just disappointments, things you don't get to do, and your life being turned upside down in a lot of ways that we've been able to adjust to. So it's like, again, what Dean was saying, like reminded of our blessings and reminded of the freedoms and what we do have to be able to adjust and still live our lives in ways that a lot of things we can continue to do just in different ways, all the way up to great loss. I mean, death, sickness, suffering, division, all kinds of things going on. But I hope that that the Lord continues to allow us to see that, to be able to look around and say a lot of stuff is built on sinking sand in our world and in our lives.
Definitely.
But the word of God holds true, and that's that's not going to falter. And so I really do have like a deep gratitude for being able to say, okay, we're almost at the end of a year that's been really hard, but Christ is our stronghold, and that holds up. So,
and I think in that, I mean, we joked, I think, Ashlyn, you said it, like 2021 is near. I mean, the reality is, like, 2021, we all have hopes that it'll be better in, whatever sense of the word we mean that. But the reality is it might not be. And so to be able to come back to our faith and to Christ and to kind of anchor ourselves to that, and then to be through the trials that have come this year with COVID and everything that goes along with that, and maybe I think, or as we are on the backside of an election, and how, regardless of where somebody's candidate landed or ended, like there's a lot of things just kind of pressing there that people may not feel as much gratitude right now for given the outcome of the election, but regardless of those more temporal circumstances, and they may not get better in 2021, but the fact that we can anchor ourselves to Christ is, it just allows us to be thankful for that first and foremost, but then anything beyond that we can look at and be thankful for, I think just makes it all the more significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things don't change because a calendar changes. Yeah. I mean, like because the ball drops in New York City, are they allowed to do that this year? I'm sure probably not.
We don't know.
Via Zoom.
So, that does not mean that things are promised to change for us. So we have to be people who stay resilient in the fact of our convictions about who Jesus is and his promises, and that's going to allow us to still find opportunities to be grateful for things. When by the world standards, there's a lot of reasons not to be grateful right now, right? By the world standards, because things just stink, right? For a lot of people. Again, we've seen most people can probably point to things that have been great in their life, but again, like Ashlyn said, if you suffered loss. I mean, we have a family friend who's got called into hospice, who's young, just today or yesterday, actually, when we're recording this. I mean, there's a lot of just stuff going on. Yeah. But none of that's guaranteed to change because the calendar flips, and that's where our convictions are going to drive our gratitude.
Yeah, suffering doesn't stop because a new year begins.
Yeah, the last week of our We the Church series, I talked about Colossians 3. It's like it's a command to seek things that are above, which means we have to actually strive to do that. Like we have to actually make effort to seek God after we're believers. We can't see God apart from the Holy Spirit before we're believers. We're told in the scriptures, but Romans 3, no one seeks God, no, not one. But after we are saved and after we're redeemed and we're given a new life and given the Spirit, then we're called to like work hard at seeking God. Seeking the things that are above, not earthly things. and there is no gratitude for the Christian if we can't do that. So that's the battle.
So what are some other things that you guys are personally thankful for this year?
I'm really thankful for the maybe like nimbleness, I guess, of our church, being able to make so many adjustments and to keep the most important things central. I really do believe that, collectively, the Lord has allowed us to keep the, I don't want to say keep the main things, but to really keep a focus and a firm look on Christ, but even just like down into the way that we operate, and this is not just our staff, but like, our on Sunday mornings, our groups, just our people, like our church family as a whole, how much change has happened, and yet how well people have adjusted. I'm grateful that we have seen a lot of good things come from that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what immediately comes to mind in terms of just what I'm thankful for is, I think just things that just sound so petty, but like just the ability to still communicate during lockdowns and things like that. I started thinking about that. Like, imagine if we were being locked down without cell phones and without Zoom, and without, like, how disconnected, even though everybody felt disconnected, how like ultra disconnected would we be for each other. So I thought about that some during the time. And also, I got a chance to really, have some good times with my kids during it. We got to take a couple cool trips. We're not like hardcore Corona bros, but we try to be sensitive towards others. We still like went to North Carolina for a few days, and and the things that we got kind of canceled, like the fun things the kids like to do, like go to summer camp and all that. We still got to go to a family camp where they did a really good job of keeping you, from being in too much of compromising CDC at the time when it was really hot, regulations and those kind of things. They did a really good job. So I got to do those kind of things. A lot of times I don't get a chance to do, as often as we got to do it during that time. And then I think just I've been really thankful for unity during this time, during this past year, because our church has really been, I was talking about our church, it's really been unified. I feel like people have just like, people are we have different political persuasions here, even different feelings on the extent of what your Corona activity should be and things like that. But in terms of like the church, like I feel like we've been really unified as a staff. I feel like things are just really been clicking here in terms of just rhythms and in terms of urgency and excitement about what's happening. Look at the baptismal. I mean, from like September through when we were recording this, has been full almost every week.
Yeah, it's
been
like
amazing.
People
getting baptized. Just incredible thing. Like our next gen ministries are clicking. All of them are going. They haven't just recovered. They're like coming back strong.
Yeah.
From everything that happens. So I'm just really grateful for those kind of things that we see taking place. And it's from personal level. This has been a good time for my family. Ty's back playing football again, which is fun. Tommy's playing basketball. Sally Ashton's back dancing full speed. Like all the things they enjoyed doing are back. And I'm just glad for that.
Yeah, I think as I look back, at the last 11 months or so, the thing that I'm outside of the things that you guys have mentioned with the church that I'm just is most evident is the way that the Lord has grown our family this year. And so we'll have a baby boy that we had prayed for not a boy necessarily, but just we had prayed for a child for like biologically for a long time, and it had kind of, I don't want to say lost hope, but we had just kind of said, okay, I don't think this is going to be a reality for us. And so, we just, the Lord was kind and super gracious to give us a child. And so that's something that we're definitely thankful for. And then at the same time, we started fostering this year, and, it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. But we had at the time we record this, our foster son was reunified with his dad, and a couple days ago, and it's crazy to realize how much you just don't know that's going on in your own city, and the hurt and the suffering that people are going through, and the ability to really, like, the Lord kind of used us to step into his world and to open our eyes to just realities that we were like conceptually aware of, but just didn't see, didn't interact with. And so we've developed really strong relationships with our foster son and with his biological dad. And so we're hopeful that those relationships will continue. And, he's always going to be a part of our family in some way. But I'm just thankful for that and for, for his life and for the little bit of time that he lived with us and the story we got to kind of tell with, in a sense with him, or the fact that he's a part of our story. So those are things, just the family life has been a sweet blessing for us this year.
We've seen Hunters, our college pastor, for those listening that aren't in Tallahassee. He and Hannah had a baby, and with Parker here and Sarah Stevens, who's our communications director, her and Jonathan had baby number 4.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of awesome things happen, in our church family and our church family life, and just strong relationships happening. And Jacob told me that he's very thankful for the farmers market here in town, because it provides his lunch and dinner for the weeks to come.
Why I hate on the farmers market?
So I love the farmers market, but Jacob's first in line Saturday morning. So, but yeah, so we got
apparently only for vegetables.
But isn't it interesting when we really think about it? That's what I meant. Yeah. Isn't it interesting when we really think about it, though, like, and really just kind of break it down how many things we actually had to be thankful for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there really is like this strong list. And we've had family deaths this year in our church, and grandparents, and there's been hard things too, but just loss and just some heartbreak over certain just personal issues of people in our church, and there's always those hard things. But when we really do break it down, like there really are like a list that we could make the 50 things we're thankful for list. If we really think through it and about the things that the Lord's doing in our own lives personally and us corporately, and it's good.
I think that leads to something I wanted to talk about too, is what are some ways, I think at first when you hear that question, like, would you rather tell 50 things you're thankful for? I mean, the first thought is like, oh my gosh, were there 50 things? Are there 50 things that I'm thankful for this year? What are some ways that, I think as a Christian, it's a good idea to practice gratitude and to be in the habit of being grateful. I think there is that ultimately, Dean, as you mentioned at the beginning, flows out of our gratefulness for what the Lord has done for us through Christ. But then just practicing gratitude and having joy for the things that He's doing. How can we collectively cultivate habits of gratitude?
Well, it's funny because Dean, you referenced Colossians 3, and I was on the week that we're recording this, I was out the previous Sunday, so I haven't listened to the sermon yet, but I actually had Colossians 3 like queued up to, in a different way, talk about that, like, gratitude is a marker of the Christian life, and it's not just, if you've been a Christian for a while, or you've been in the church, like, you've probably heard some kind of talk about, hopefully about, that joy isn't just circumstantial, and, happiness in the Lord is more than just our things going my way. Kind of in the same way, like, gratitude and thankfulness is more deep and abiding than just what's happening in my life right now, or what's around me. And it's also not a platitude. It's also not, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and just act like everything's fine. It's being able to take the struggles and the hardships and to still have gratitude, because we don't produce that in ourselves. Like, we're not generating our own gratitude. The Holy Spirit is allowing us to have that. But I did want to point out in Colossians 3 that when Paul is talking about being thankful and then a little later on singing to God with gratitude in your hearts, all of this is in the context of talking about markers of a Christian life. And so he's, in Colossians 3, it starts with verse 12, but he's saying, as God's chosen ones, holy and dearly loved. So already talking about, we're holy in Christ. We're being made holy, and we're dearly loved by God. And then he's talking about different things to put on: compassion, humility, kindness, all of these things, bearing with one another, loving one another, forgiving one another. And then he says, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. And let the peace of Christ, to which you were called in one body, rule in your hearts, and be thankful. And so if we're looking at gratitude in the Christian life, settling it in the context of not just, it's okay because God's in control. Like, that is a true statement. Like, we need to be careful when we like brush stuff like that aside, I think, because that is a truth. It is okay because God is in control. Like, as a Christian, you need to be able to say that and know that you might be misunderstood by some people as just offering like empty words, but that actually has, theological, biblical meanings behind it. Like, that's communicating truth. But as well, looking at that passage in Colossians, like gratitude, a way to cultivate gratitude is to let the word dwell richly among you, you know, to seek unity, to know the Lord. And so I think that's something that, you know, developing gratitude is not just, it can be good to list 50 things you're thankful for, but it's not just that. To really come to a place of I think abiding gratitude is going to take a lot more. But the good thing is that all of these things, like, this is God's will for us, you know? So like gratitude is not disconnected from God's will for us. It's not something we're just, you know, to use sort of our pool metaphor, like, you know, struggling around in the deep end, float, you know, grasping for a side, trying to look for something to cling to. It is a posture of the heart. It's you know, I think a fruit of the Spirit. So
I think it's spot on. And it's going to be foolishness to the world, right? Saying things like, the Lord is in control, or, sorry, I have a little frog in my throat.
I
Okay,
I
I'm
was
good now.
that good. This is just the scripture made you emotional.
It was. You know, I mean, saying things like, you know, we do get ridiculed today on, like, especially on social media, if you say things like, you know, thoughts and prayers. As Christians, we don't care about thoughts, you know, in terms of giving someone our thoughts. We give them our prayers. You know, we care about being thoughtful.
Right.
But that's just like a secular spin on them praying for you. But we say things like praying for this, and you get mocked. You'll say things like God is on his throne. We believe God's in control. Like, those are critical Christian beliefs and Christian practices. So I think another way we cultivate it is really through local church practices. You know, because like being a part of a gospel-centered church, because you're going to be pointed to the work of Christ every week on your behalf, not just like virtuous living or your effort or how to be a better person, like what happens in a lot of churches today. Like, actually, like, Christ being the focus. Take the Lord's Supper regularly, where we focus it on gratitude. The songs we sing. You know, Ashton read from Colossians 3, you know, we're actually singing the praises. It's not just a filler for the service. We're like giving thanks to God. So I think the local church really cultivates a lot of that for us.
Yeah, that's good.
That gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's a temptation to sometimes view gratitude in only around what I'll say, like, positive things or circumstances in your life. And so it's really easy to be thankful for good things, right? Like, it's easy to be thankful when you get a new job, or when, you know, like, you have a child, or like these big kind of life moments that you know, you can be thankful for. But what came to my mind too as we were talking is James 1. And, you know, he writes, "Consider it a great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing." And I mean, and I don't mean that in the sense of like when somebody's in the midst of suffering, going and being like, "Hey, the Lord's using this for your good.
Be thankful.
Be thankful.
Yeah.
You're being conformed to the image of Christ. Don't forget." But there is, I mean, as I think about my own life, and I think about trials, and then I look back at them and say, okay, what was the Lord doing in my life and in my heart in those times and in those moments that were so difficult? I can look back at them with gratitude. And so as we think about, you know, I mean, people who, you know, have walked through loss this year, like, you can still have gratitude and thankfulness for the things that are difficult, especially when you're in Christ, knowing that the Lord is using them ultimately for your good. And that's not an empty thing, and that's not a way to just try and, like, kind of be a pat on the back of like, it'll be okay, you know, that, but to say, no, like, the Lord is using this for your good, and it will produce endurance in you. It will produce steadfastness. And I mean, actually, it makes me think of what you said, you know, kind of early on, is that it's what holds. Like, our faith in Christ is what holds us. And so when those trials do come, it is a test, but it allows us to stand firm on the foundation of Jesus Christ, and not on the things of this world, or you know, whatever may be pulling at us. And so I think even just thinking about that too, is we sometimes have to reframe the way that we view gratitude, to not be only kind of positive things.
And I would say that gratitude is you can feel grateful for something, but gratitude is also more than a feeling. And so
Yes,
I think
that's good.
as Christians, you know, we have to continually throughout our whole lives work on holding, like, to be a whole person is to hold a lot of things in tension, right? Like, we're complex, so you have to be able to hold a lot of things together. This is just like, as you were talking, Alex, just I think about this. I lost my grandmother back in the summer in July, and she's very dear to me, very, very close, and I feel still a lot of sadness over, she's kind of like a matriarch of sorts in our family, very meaningful to me in my life as a believer and in ministry. And so I feel still great sadness over the fact that she's not here, even down to things like, this is going to be our first holiday, first Thanksgiving, first Christmas without her. And she was kind of the central gathering point, for our family, sort of even a nucleus of sorts. And so there's a lot of loss there. Mm-hmm. I am grateful that she is now in the presence of the Lord and she doesn't have any physical suffering or hurt. And I can fully believe that her eternity now is infinitely better, like in ways that there's absolutely no way I can comprehend than her life was here on earth. And so just, I think those are the kinds of things that it's hard to hold all of that together, and that's, again, going back to, I think that's why, we don't hold it together. Christ holds us and holds those things together in us. But in terms of pursuing gratitude and cultivating it, there is, I think, a process of being able to think and dwell on those things. And so, yes, of course, it's important that I think we have to be able to stay in those feelings, but also to think about them and let that be a whole process where I can say, I feel sad that, I don't get any more time on this earth with my grandmother. I'm not going to negate that. That stays there. But I can also be reminded of the good truth that she's with the Lord and we will be together in eternity praising God. I mean, that's okay, that I can live in that, and so that's just, I think as we pursue gratitude, it's important to say that not even reducing it down to, feeling versus thinking, like let's hold it all together. Like God made us these complex people who, even through trials and suffering, can find great gratitude and find a posture of our hearts. Like what an awesome, if, as you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, like if there's anything to be grateful for, what a gift that is. Going back to, what Dean said at the very beginning, that we've received grace to be led by God to a posture of gratitude and thankfulness when we don't deserve that at all. That should put us on our faces in gratitude, Yeah. So that's just, I think, there are more full, complex ways of thinking about it than maybe we sometimes do.
We are not punished as our sins deserve. How incredible.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, any final thoughts on that before we head into the local on tap?
I do want to say one thing that I am also really grateful for, like as much as the internet reveals the evils of the world, like people showed up in creative ways and the memes were next level this year. So I just want to say, like, even though it also brought out the worst in us, yes, we did get to see like human resilience through excellent like memes. So let me just give a nod to that.
There was some hope in the dark days because of the creative genius of the internet.
Yes.
I loved one from yesterday. Some poor phoneless fool is probably sitting next to a waterfall somewhere, totally unaware of how angry and scared he's supposed to be.
That's amazing. So that is amazing. Well, as we transition to the local on tap and talk about something local to Tallahassee, we want to continue the theme of thankfulness, and we've mentioned this a few different examples that would apply to this. But what are some things individually that you are thankful for as it relates to City Church specifically?
I have 3 that come to mind out of 100. 50. Yeah. Number 1 is that it's a place that my family loves to be a part of. You can't underestimate that. Like Chrissy thrives here, my kids thrive here. Like they love their church.
Yep.
And that's a really big deal. They love to be here. So that's really important. It's more than just like, oh, it's where we go. I know I work here, but like they actually like get excited on Sunday morning. Like my kids want to be up here, which is a big deal. Second thing is I'm thankful that for our church that it's a place where I get excited if my friends who don't know Jesus show up. I'm not embarrassed by it. Like I'm not like, oh no, this is what we're doing today. Even when we talk about tough stuff, I'm like, hey, we got the answers just with the Bible. So I love the fact that I can like trust our church as a whole with people that don't know Jesus that come here. And third, just to be honest, like I'm thankful for you two and just the bond we have and the love we have for each other and the partnership. And it's just makes it great. And it's also probably one of my favorite parts of what we do here. And we've been rolling together for a long time and it's awesome. So I'm really thankful for y'all.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Ashlyn, what are you thankful for?
I am thankful for, I'll kind of tee up one of our forthcoming episodes. I am really thankful for some of the initiatives in women's discipleship that we have seen get off the ground this year. It has just been really neat to see. And that's, I mean, coming off of last year as well. But just getting to see women who are reading and thinking and learning the scriptures and growing in their faith, it just is awesome. And so I'm thankful for the way that that God has blessed the work of some really faithful people in that. I am thankful for within our church, I've gotten to make some new friends this year, which has been like really fun. And I think that's like an underrated thing. You know, it's like, I feel like the older you get, you kind of like just settle into your friends. That's not like you guys aren't old news, but
Old news.
But it's awesome that, you know, within the church to get to know new people, right? Like you do kind of have to, keep, you know, fighting against like your little circle or just people that become your people and feel comfortable and you live life with, but to get to bring new people into that. So definitely grateful for new friends. Man, I mean, really thankful just to continue to see baptisms and life change, eternity change happen here. And also just really thankful for, again, some of the changes and the adapting that we've had to do. I think it's all made us stronger. You know, I think it's made our staff team better. It's revealed, at least I know for me, like weaknesses, things I need to work on, things that I wasn't aware of before that I am now, not just in weaknesses, but in general. So a lot of time for introspection and soul searching, which I'm certainly a fan of, as a true color green.
You love thinking through it.
I do. I love thinking. So yeah, but I mean, getting to see that like creatively play out in a lot of different areas has been really fun.
Yeah, that's great. I was thankful, or am thankful, for a couple things that you guys have already mentioned, but a few others. The generosity financially of our church is amazing.
Gosh, definitely.
You know, as we entered March and April,
not the Rona. Sorry, excuse me, I had to sneeze.
as we entered the kind of the beginning of the pandemic, there was just concern, you know, about what's gonna happen. How our church has been amazing, amazingly generous, and continues to give, and it never ceases to amaze me how faithful the Lord is through our people, and so I'm thankful for that. And then I was also going to say one that wasn't mentioned yet is I'm really faithful. And Dean, you lead this group of guys, but our elders, great group of godly men who love their church, who love the staff, and who shepherd and lead our church so well.
Yeah, we've seen them grow too. They're growing.
Yeah, I was going to say they've done tremendous work, like to grow as a group of men who lead this church this year, and could not be more thankful for them and the way that the Lord has used them to lead us in this season. So those are two things that weren't already mentioned that I just am really thankful for right now.
And to see, like, just to go off of that, like to see also like what they have led our church in a really difficult year, you know, I mean, to think about, we have done a lot of work in talking about racial unity, talking about serving people who have been victims of abuse, who have meeting the needs of, you know, financially, like the poor and just people who need things, emotional, spiritual needs, counseling, like all of that goes unseen, but that is like the work of the ministry. It's really neat to think that they have like really leaned in to sort of use a popular leadership term in a moment that, really called for it. So yeah, just grateful for them.
Yeah.
Producer Jacob, what are you most thankful for about your church?
I've been coming to City Church for like 3.5 years, and coming into City Church, I was a Christian, but really the most thing I'm thankful for with City Church is just like the discipleship that I received. So just like the men and women who've really poured into me and helped me really develop a faith that is lasting rather than just something that's temporary, is probably the biggest thing I'm thankful for.
Let's go.
It's good.
Love it.
there is much to be thankful for, and we are trying to be grateful people. We're grateful that you would choose to spend part of your Thanksgiving with us. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next week for another episode of The Local Dive.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl.
You can listen to Christmas music now.
Official.
Thanks for listening to The Local Dive, a podcast diving into deep and shallow musings about Christ, the church, and culture. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow The Local Dive on social media and continue the conversation with us on Instagram and Twitter at The Local Dive Pod.